Namaskaram, Anandana.
Namaskaram.
Thank you for taking out time and speaking with us. I want you to first tell me as to what is your role at Isha.
I'm basically from a town called Trichy in Tamil Nadu, and I was a farmer before I stepped into Isha. I
Okay.
was having my own land and was practicing agriculture. And in 2004, when Sadhguru started the first environmental initiative of Isha under the banner of Project Green Hands, the vision of Sadhguru really inspired me that whatever I was doing in my small piece of land didn't mean anything anymore. So I volunteered for the first tsunami outreach activity of Isha in 2004 after the tsunami hit the eastern coast. And then since then I've been a full-time volunteer, and today I predominantly take care of all the environmental and agriculture initiatives of Isha,
Okay.
the Rally for Rivers, the Kaveri Calling, and the Isha Agro Movement.
Okay.
And there is a separate team which is working on running a farmer producer organization nearby the Isha Yoga Center.
What is Sadhguru's vision for agro farming?
What Sadhguru was seeing for a very long time, probably from the late 90s, was that agriculture is slowly becoming less and less attractive to farmers to take it up.
That's right.
And he was observing that a large section of the population in the country has been under agriculture since independence or even before independence.
That's right.
And he was seeing the trend that a large amount of these people are migrating away from agriculture. They don't want to do anything with agriculture. So that was the first stark point or observation that Sadhguru had, which led Isha into a much more exploratory process of seeing what is the issue, why is this happening. If 70 or 80% of the population is in one particular activity which has been for millennia, why is this shifting now? And when he started looking into in detail, he started to see that fundamentally it is becoming less and less profitable and more difficult and more risky. So when somebody is investing his entire life, his resources into something, and just one small change in climate, it can ruin the crop.
Absolutely.
One small change in the market situation, it can change his life. And this has led to a lot of farmer distress, which has led to a lot of farmer suicides in the country.
Correct.
So when we look at why the agriculture is not becoming profitable, is when we see that is that the input cost in agriculture is gradually increasing over the years, and the marketing price, the farm gate price for farmers for whatever that they are growing is not increasing in the same way. The cost of cultivation is increasing, but
the farmer is not fetching
the right price or enough price for the produce. Now, why is this cultivation cost increasing? It has not been increasing for probably thousands of years, but it has started to increase in the last probably 4, 5, 6 decades. When we see the history of agriculture, we have always been into sustenance agriculture, which means that a farmer fundamentally produces what he needs for his family, and the surplus, there was a barter system with the larger community where he traded for other
products.
things, other products or services that he wanted for his family.
Okay.
Now, after the era of currency, he wanted to make profits, he wanted to make money. The problem is not with profits, but the problem is that we started moving away from growing what we need to eat, which is 70% of the population was growing what they want. So the food security was not a really big question probably 100 years back.
Correct.
But today what we want to grow is what we want to sell, and what is not what we
It's
want to eat.
always commerce and commerce
Yes.
in mind.
Yes. So this was one problem that we observed. The second problem is that when there is a cash crop cultivation, the farmer is now trained in the last whatever 5, 6 decades after the Green Revolution, is now farmer trained to look into having maximum yields in every crop that they want. The desire to see maximum yields is not the problem, but because from the advent of chemical intensive agriculture, they started putting more and more salts into the soil. So now if we take a earthworm and you just put your table salt that we eat on the earthworm, within a few minutes the earthworm dies.
Correct.
Now over a period of 5, 6 decades, you are continuously putting salts into the ground as fertilizers. Now the soil microbial population, which is the fulcrum of agriculture, which is the fulcrum of plant life and the
Right.
productivity of plant life, if that population is declining, the soil health is declining.
So the
And hence the
microorganisms.
productivity is declining.
Okay.
The microbial population is declining. So year by year, when the soil health is declining, the farmers are pushing more and more fertilizers because the
okay.
nutrition is lacking in the soil.
Okay.
So now this has become a vicious cycle.
Right.
It is not a very straightforward, simple problem. So there are at least 6 or 7 crops under different layers of solar harvesting is happening. So it is 100% of the land is being utilized. The sunlight of the entire landscape is properly utilized. So when this happens, maximum solar energy is producing more and more starch in the farm, then there is maximum productivity put together, not just from coconut, from nutmeg, from banana, from the timber and so on. So there is a variety of crops within the same land. That
So
is,
not just the coconuts have gone up by the yield, and
Yes.
also you are like generating so much more income through all these
Yes,
other
yes.
plants.
So the concept with which we trialed out this land and which we are trying to scale it up with thousands of farmers across Tamil Nadu is that the cost of cultivation of the main crop, which is coconut, is completely nullified by the income of the other crops that is there as intercrops.
This is so inspiring, really.
So what happens is that whatever he gets out of the coconut, he is not even looking at how many nuts I'm getting, because whatever he gets is profit.
Correct.
So in this way, when he got completely convinced in the last probably 3, 4, 5 years, that farm has trained more than 1,000 farmers to
Wow.
transition from chemical to chemical free system of agriculture.
It's like a ideal model.
Yes,
farm.
ideal model. And a lot of the local farmer magazines have come and covered, and they have said that this is the best coconut farm we have seen in Tamil Nadu, these kind of things.
And
So
one
it-
more question, Anna, like
Yeah.
when you have so many different kinds of plants, the soil nutrition, is it enough to support all these varieties?
the more the merrier. That's how the soil works, because
Okay.
the more biomass it has in the plant life. See, for example, this tree is there. Now, continuously the leaves will be falling down and new leaves are coming. So this fallen leaf becomes compost or humus, which means that it becomes food for the soil microorganisms.
Correct.
So the more plants you bring into your farm, the more diverse variety of plants you bring into your farm, the soil health increases, the diversity of nutrition increases, the
Okay.
diversity of organisms in the soil also increases.
Okay.
So the more diversity you bring in, what we have observed, and it has also been proven by various scientific community, that the more diversity you have, the better the yield, the better the soil health becomes.
Okay.
So this is something that we have seen as a living reality. Today a lot of agriculture professors and scientists are coming there. A lot of practitioners and experts who have been talking about this for decades have seen this farm. So it's not just one farm, it's just the start. And now in the last 5 years we have converted more than 2,000 farmers from chemical intensive agriculture to chemical free.
Okay.
This has come out of training 12,000 people. In the last 5 years, we have trained 12,000 people into chemical free system of agriculture, out of which 2,000 have transitioned 100% and rest of them are slowly transitioning.
Okay.
Because a farmer, 100% or a full-time farmer doesn't have any other alternate source of income. So if I am a farmer, I am growing crops in 10-acre piece of land, and you are Isha, you are coming and telling me you stop using whatever I was using in the last 3 decades. I am afraid whether this is going to work for me or not. Even though I see a lot of campaigns that are going on,
For yourself, you're scared.
I am scared. So what I do is that I convert 1 acre of my land to see whether how it works, how the soil responds,
Okay.
what are the new pests and diseases that I face, and for these diseases, if I should not use chemical pesticides, insecticides and other sprays, how will I manage this?
That's right.
Who is going to support me? So in Isha Agro movement, when we started scaling up this pilot initiative after trialing and succeeding with the 30 farmers, what we felt is that it's not the technology or it's not the theory part which the farmers are not aware of. Most farmers, when we went and gave this training, yes, we know all these things, but it is not working. So then we went into we started digging deeper.
Okay.
What we saw was that a farmer is not able to understand why it is not working very clearly. Because there are some small mistakes that they do when they prepare these bio inputs. The bio inputs are like Panchagavyam or
Right.
Jivamridam or something that they use. There are few mistakes that they do while they are preparing.
Okay.
So these mistakes, we try to cover these mistakes by doing individual farm visits. And when we started training in the second phase, we started doing practical trainings where we bring in all the ingredients and we make the farmer do it in front of us. So these kind of trainings, we did it with 12,000 farmers, where every farmer is practically trained and not in classroom setting, in farm settings.
That's right.
In farm settings where the farm has been successful in natural farming for more than 6 or 7 years, in those farm settings we are conducting these training programs. So then we started giving hand holding to these farmers, creating a WhatsApp group where a region, say for 2-3 districts having the same agroclimatic condition, they come together as one WhatsApp group.
Okay.
And in that WhatsApp group, a farmer, he just takes a picture of this disease or pest and he posts this in the WhatsApp and says that what do I do?
Wow.
There are 3 or 4 farmer resource leaders which we have handpicked and we ask them to give solutions on a day-to-day basis. So every day there is a question opening time where 2-3 hours are open, the WhatsApp group is open for the farmers to ask questions, and within 24 hours their problems are addressed by expert farmers.
Wow.
So when we started using technology for addressing issues which are geographically spread in a wide region, we were able to see the momentum of this movement that Sadhguru had in his vision started picking up. So from 30 farmers, we trained 12,000 farmers. From just 20 farmers who converted 100% to natural farming, now we have 2,000 farmers who have converted, and probably in the next year or so, the 10,000 farmers who are remaining out of the, they'll also transition completely.
Wow.
So now this is becoming practical, and it is being taken up by farmers not because they love the concept, not because they have love for natural farming, it's simply because it is making economic sense. Because this 1065 farmers started with a small turnover, and today the turnover of the company has become in such a way, it is the #1 FPO in Tamil Nadu, and it has been ranked as the 9th best FPO out of the 769 FPOs that are running in the country today.
Wow. Congratulations on that. That's
so the FPO movement has really picked up, and we see that the scope of this is much larger. So Sadhguru now wants us to create more and more FPOs to demonstrate in different agroclimatic conditions, so that other organizations can also anchor FPO building in their own locality, in their own regions.
So Anandana, how many farmers can one FPO ideally manage or bring together?
Today, by and large, the 769 FPOs that I said that are right now running in the country, on an average anywhere between 200 to 1000 farmers is the size of FPO, and it depends upon what is the organization's capability which is hand-holding the FPO to scale it up. Now this Vellingiri Ulavar company, this is having 1065 farmers.
Under one FPO?
Under one FPO, 1065
wow.
farmers, and 200 more farmers are waitlisted now for us to complete the financial year, and then they will be onboarded in the next financial year. And we are seeing that this is a very good size for us to demonstrate the success of the FPO at a state level and at a national level. But Sadhguru is not happy with this. Sadhguru feels that still 1000 farmers or 1500 farmers are not going to really make a huge difference in terms of the bargaining capability is concerned.
Okay.
So Sadhguru is saying that we should demonstrate a mega FPO where 25,000 farmers can come together.
25,000?
Yeah.
Wow.
So when we aggregate the produce of 25,000 farmers, it will be probably 100,000 or 200,000 acres of land, and if we aggregate this produce together, we will be like probably a corporate company.
Absolutely.
When this happens.
Right.
And if the same rule that applies to a small FPO, that all the profits goes back to the farmers, and there cannot be any possibility of a private equity taking over the company, if the same safety guard is applied for this 25,000 farmer FPO, then this becomes the roadmap or the blueprint for farmers to come together. See, when this happens, what will happen is that, for example, it is not just about very simple concepts of reducing cultivation cost and increasing margins and profit. What will also happen is that very specific issues which are specific to the region. For example, I will tell you a very small example. In this region, the coconut farmers' only major problem is that they were not able to get labor force during the peak harvesting time. See, coconut is a 12-month crop. It's not a seasonal crop.
That's right.
But the market suddenly goes up and suddenly comes down. When the market is going up, the farmer needs the maximum labor force to harvest at that point in time to make the best utilization of the market potential. Now we are not able to get this. So by the time farmer arranges the labor and harvests it, the market value again goes down. So this is a cycle which farmers are not able to make best use of. See, the market can be seen in a very negative context. It can also be seen in a very optimistic context. Where if the trend is going up and if I have the right capability to harvest and sell at that point in time, then I can make maximum profit.
That's right.
So this was observed by the Velangiri Ulvar company that we are running. And what the people did is that they hired a labor force 365 days of the year. And what they did is that they made a harvesting calendar which is in tune with the market trends. So we analyze the market trends, we see the ups and downs in a year, and then accordingly we supplied labor force for these people at cost. There was no profit making in supplying this, but just a service that was organized together,
Right.
scheduled in such a way that we were able to just increase the the coconut marketing potential by 10% just by adjusting the labor charges.
So it's all planning and organizing.
It's planning, organizing, and seeing what are the specific issues that are curtailing or becoming a bottleneck for this group of farmers and addressing those issues in a concerted effort. So this is possible only if farmers come together in unity.
Absolutely.
And unity does not come because typically we are all divided by caste, religion and various other economic and social factors. But what makes people come together is that when they see that if I come together I can make much more money, then they want to come together.
That is the luring
Yes,
factor.
absolutely. So this is the model that the Isha Agro movement is now trying to propagate, that in any piece of land, doesn't matter, they can grow at least anywhere between 3 to 7 different crops which will protect them from climate crisis, from market crisis, and will also ensure that they have something for their family to eat healthy. So these are the foundations with which Isha has been taking up agriculture related activities under the vision of Sadhguru.
Okay.
And I feel really fortunate that we have been given an opportunity to work with
That's right.
Sadhguru and implement these things. There is nothing more gratifying when we see farmers' income go up,
Right.
when we see the soil is getting better, when we see that they are also eating healthier than what they used to.
So Anandana, when I look at the ashram, like I've been coming here for many years, and everything is so sustainable and eco-friendly. How did this culture develop, or what is Isha's vision about sustainability and how this place runs?
The way Sadhguru has envisioned is living in such a way that you only consume what is absolutely needed, not just in material. In terms of what we watch, what we speak, we absolutely do only what is needed. He always says that if you can reduce what you speak by 1/3, you will be more efficient. That's what he says. So in the same way, whatever we use in the ashram, whether it's clothing or whether it's what we eat or how we manage our personal as well as the resources of the foundation, it is kept in such a way that we are not kept uncomfortable, but at the same time what is absolutely needed is what is being used. So if we stick to that, it doesn't become a philosophy, it doesn't become a moral obligation to not to buy one extra pair of clothes or not to buy one watch or whatever. It's not an imposition, it is not a moral obligation in which we live, but a constant awareness on are we using and doing things in such a way that what we do is absolutely needed. Because whatever we do has a footprint on the planet.
Correct.
In that way, it is a very conscious way of using resources is what has been brought as a culture in the ashram. It's not a teaching. You don't find any classes happening on sustainability. You don't find Sadhguru talking about sustainability in any of our satsangs or anything. But a kind of an untold culture has been developed in Isha from the beginning of the ashram. I remember the days when we used to, do everything in the ashram, from the security activity to toilet cleaning activity to absolutely everything. So it was developed over a period of time so that whoever comes new, in a matter of 1 or 2 months, they automatically, there is no teaching to them, but automatically the ambience is created in such a way they move towards what is absolutely needed. So I don't know if I answer your question of sustainability, but this is the way the culture here has been set.
How do you segregate your waste?
So we largely see waste as recyclable waste and non-recyclable waste. So whatever that can be recycled, there are many divisions. One is construction team looks into whether they can reuse of materials in construction if that kind of material is there. The aesthetics team, there is a separate department here which is called aesthetics. If you see a lot of our furniture or decorations or ambience of the ashram, you would see a lot of waste material being used, whether it's a coir rope or whether it's a plant material waste. It's somewhere brought into the aesthetics of the place, so that it is not just about throwing or not throwing. It is seeing that every bit of material can it be used in a better way or in an aesthetic way. So there is a complete team which looks into that.
Okay.
When we come to non-recyclable waste, there are biodegradable waste and non-biodegradable waste. When we see biodegradable waste, it is majorly kitchen waste and waste from our bathrooms and toilets.
Right.
So when we see kitchen waste, there is uncooked waste and cooked waste.
That's right.
So the whole idea is to continuously see how to reduce and keep the cooked waste to the bare minimum as possible. This is done by a very active day-to-day attendance of people who will be accessing the Bhiksha hall for food. In the biodegradable waste, other than food waste, we see there is also the waste that is generated through the people living in the ashram, through the bathroom water and the toilet water. So the bathroom water does not need a very elaborate system of treatment because it does not have solid waste.
Right.
The bathroom water is done through a system of grey water treatment, where the water is fit enough for using as irrigation in a lot of agriculture plots that we have, which are growing natural produce. So in those farms, we are diverting that water to those farms as irrigation water. For the toilet waste, there are sewage treatment plants, eco-friendly sewage treatment plant technology that is being used, has been very carefully selected that sewage treatment has multiple technologies. Few technologies use harsh chemicals to break down the organic content of the toilet waste. So here eco-friendly system where bacterial and other medium is used for breaking down the toilet waste matter. And this STP water, the sewage treatment plant's water, treated water is also again used for our irrigation and agriculture activities. Morning we were in one of the farms where this water is used, but you cannot find that there is a smell or anything. So that is where now the advancement of technology can be handled as a boon, where if we choose the appropriate technology and the right technology, we can handle our sewage in a much more conscious manner, and that is being practiced in the ashram today.
Wow, this is so inspiring. So there's nothing really going for waste.
Yes. Even for example, there are a lot of laborers who kind of come for seasonal work, and even in agriculture or in construction or anything, there are a lot of laborers that come on seasonal work. The clothes that people who use here, and if they want to throw away the clothes, there is a system where it is collected by a department. There is a housekeeping department which systematically collects. For example, if I buy one piece of kurta, the old kurta, I wash it, iron it and give it to this department, and they insist that we can only give it after washing and ironing, so that it is gifted to these sevadars who are coming and working, who don't have the means to buy new clothes every time. So in this way, even the clothes, we see that there is a department so that size wise, male or female, children and all these things, it's properly segregated so that it is not just randomly thrown, like garbage. Rather than it is categorized, stocked, and there is a day where we can go and deposit these things. So it's a very organized activity by itself.
I also saw a lot of art being made with scrap metals and using rock and ropes and cords, as you said. And as you said, we can always use discarded stuff to become innovative and creative as well.
Yes, absolutely.
And do you have any natural energy that is used in the ashram?
Yes, in the initial stages we were dependent upon the electricity produced by the electricity board, supplied by the electricity board. But today around 50 to 60% of our energy consumption is renewable energy.
Okay.
So in all the rooftops, there is a lot of living spaces here and office buildings here.
Okay.
In most of the rooftops, we have installed solar panels.
Okay.
So there are two forms of solar energy that we are doing. One is for electricity substitution, and second is for water heating. Okay. Because we are in a very cold place, and a lot of people need some warm water in the morning. So for those people, the few blocks where senior people are living in the ashram, so some water heating is also available during those periods.
Okay.
So one is that we don't encourage bright lighting in the ashram, because it is also said that Sadhguru gives us a lot of guidance and tells us to try to train our eyes to see in the dark.
Okay.
So he says that human eye is capable of seeing in the dark. He used to say stories of how he used to live inside forest where it is pitch dark.
That's
But
right.
in a matter of 15-20 minutes he will be able to see. And if you train your eye enough, then you will be able to see it very clearly.
Okay.
A lot of places in the ashram, when we cross from one region to another, there is consciously we don't have bright lighting, flood lighting or street lighting done.
That's
because
correct.
there is it's not about electricity, it's not about sustainability.
Saving electricity.
It's again about how consciously we can live, which reflects naturally on reducing power consumption one way or the other. And he says that how to keep your human system in such a way, whether it is cold or hot, you don't try to put ACs and other things to moderate your environment, but you can moderate your body in such a way it can withstand cold and heat in a certain way. So in every way he goes back to our culture, he goes back to our tradition, where a conscious way of living naturally brings about a sustainable way of living in the ashram. So in this way, energy, wherever it is absolutely required, it is kept. We don't compromise on the safety of people. When somebody has to walk in a certain pathway where it is public, enough lighting is given, not that lighting is not there, but at the same time it's done in a certain balanced aesthetic manner.
And I've been here, as I said, many times, and I've seen a lot of volunteers are consciously looking at how people are using water. So what are your methods, and what are the things that you have in place when it comes to water conservation and preservation?
One is a lot of awareness is given, mainly for ashram visitors, because there is thousands of footfall in the ashram as visitors. The awareness is already there and inbuilt into the people who are living here continuously. But people who come from outside, they are not aware that this is a large area, and if we don't conserve our water, we can end up in trouble. So in every point where we have either taps or drinking water or washing or toilets, there is always a board kept to make them aware that we should conserve every drop of water. That is one form of awareness that is kept in the ashram. Second thing is that we have strategically located few recharge pits or recharge zones based on the topography of the land in the ashram. When rainfall happens, it naturally flows through gradation. And where there is a gradation and where the speed of the water needs to be stopped, beneath the ground we have kept recharge points where the water gets percolated into the groundwater, so that our groundwater bore wells are recharged. In spite of having such a large number of people living in the ashram, we have never had a situation where our bore wells have gone empty or our bore wells have gone 1000 feet or 1500 feet, where in most cases in the surrounding regions, if you see, the bore wells even in agriculture land today, average depth is around 900 to 1000 feet. But in the ashram, the bore wells are doing very well because of this way of handling the rainwater and recharging the rainwater into our aquifers.
So I've also heard about sinking pits. Do you still have them here?
Sinking pits for smaller households, if you are in an individual house or in an apartment with small number of houses, sink pits can be given. For larger spaces like this, where the open area is also quietly large, depending on that, what we are telling as recharge pits is a larger sink pit. and a deeper sink pit. Basically, that's all it is.
Thing, huh?
So that is also being practiced in the ashram. Instead of eating wheat and rice, which have high glycemic index, if we shift to grains which have a lower glycemic index, like minor millets, there are numerous amounts of minor millets that have been grown in this country traditionally, which are rich in calcium, magnesium, and all these micronutrients, which is very vital for our exoskeletal development and our health.
Okay.
So now this particular culture has gone away because for the last 50, 60 years, if we go anywhere, somebody is eating minor millet, they have somewhere created a concept that it is poor man's food.
That's right.
So even a farmer, if he is creating a wedding, he wants to put white rice, which is not having any nutrition, it is just plain starch.
Correct.
So this, how to say, change of mindset, if we can bring it back, what we were eating as a culture 100 years or 200 years back, we will consciously, we can grow minor millets in almost all the parts of the country, and we can consume minor millets which will prevent us from getting into diabetes and which is more nutritious in terms of micronutrients. Now, why minor millet versus paddy? What paddy in terms of water consumes, the minor millets will not even need 10% or 12% of the water that a paddy crop will require.
Right.
So, which means that we will not be pumping and exhausting our underground water so exploitatively to grow paddy and wheat, which at end of the day is neither doing good for the land nor doing good to our health. So, some conscious change in the larger community, if, like Sadhguru says, if we shift at least 30% of our diet to minor millets and native grains and cereals, then there will also be a equivalent transition of our agriculture land. Instead of growing paddy and wheat, they'll start growing millets, which is consumed by the larger population.
That's right.
Then the rest of the 1/3, Sadhguru says that we should consciously wear fabric which is organic. Organic in the sense it is made out of natural material.
Fibers.
It should be done of natural fibers. And today there is material fabric made out of bamboo, cotton,
Hemp.
and hemp, jute. There is so many different.
And many blends also, exotic blends.
Yeah, probably you will be more knowledgeable in this area. It's my weak area.
That's okay.
Basically, it's that we see that there is a lot of scope where we can cut down on synthetic polyfiber fabric usage, and 1/3 of the land should be producing natural fibers which can be used in fabrics and which can be consumed within the country, and there is a huge export potential for India to become the capital of cotton export in the world, and it has always been so, and we still have that opportunity. But today majority of our clothing style has gone into polyester and other synthetic mix of clothing, which can be kind of what to say done away with for our own well-being, not because of the planet or anything. So in this way, if we bring 30% or 35% fruit consumption, another 30 to 35% as millets and native cereals and traditional grains, and if we shift to organic fabric, this is sustainability for human well-being as well as for the entire planet. And this is the vision Sadhguru is talking about, conscious planet. Because if you see the discourse of conscious planet, what Sadhguru is trying to say is that it is not just about ecology, it is about marrying ecology with economy, and trying to see how we can bring in all these elements in a very inclusive manner, rather than imposing it as a regulation, rather than imposing it because of moral obligations. So lifestyle change is what is the way forward, and that's the way Sadhguru is asking us to choose, because we have the freedom to choose. So this is the guidance with which we all look forward to transform whatever communities we are trying to work with.
Wonderful. So this is so easy, but it's so hard to penetrate among so many people. Just few changes, in your diet, few changes as to how you wear your clothes can have such a huge impact on the planet and on your well-being.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Anandana. This was also beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Namaskar.